All right, we started the Maimer. This is actually, and here's the 40th Maimer. So it said Yud Shvat by the Rebbe on Yud Shvat, Tafshin Chavtes. As the Rebbe would explain every year, the Maimer that the Frierdiker Rebbe gave out for Yud Shvat, Tafshin Yud, it has the whole Hemshech over there has 20 chapters. So every year the Rebbe explained one chapter. So Tafshin Chavtes was the 19th chapter from Tafshin Yud. So the Rebbe is explaining in this Maimer the 19th chapter of the Maimer Basi Leganim. But until the Rebbe comes to the 19th chapter, by the way, in every Maimer, the Rebbe adds and explains and goes through the opening until he gets to the 19th parak. So we're going to start with the beginning over here, and until we'll get to the Maimer. B'siyayte d'shmaya Yud Shvat Hey Tovshin Chavtes. It has the usual opening, Bossi, the opening of the Maimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe in Tovshin Yud. But Bossi Legani Achaisi Kalo. The Eibishter says uh, that I've come to my garden, my sister, my bride. This is references to the Yidden. The Yidden are called the Eibishter's sisters. They're called the Eibishter's bride. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's sister, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's bride. And Hashem is saying, "Oh, I came to my garden." So maybe Kveit Kedushas Merichomu Admur Bal Hayilula. So my father-in-law, the Rebbe, the ones whose yahrzeit, B'Hamaimer the Yom HaYistalkus, in the Maimer of the day of passing the Yom HaHilula Shaloi of his Hilula, the Rebbe's, the Frierdiker Rebbe's Hilula. The Isa b'Medrash Rabbah b'Mekoymei that we find in the Medrash Rabbah on the Shir Hashirim, on this pasuk b'Mekoymei, in his place, that he says that the meaning of Ligani means Liginuni. Genuni is a garden, is a place where the king hangs out, a place of pleasure. It's almost like a Genuni, like a bridal suite. It's a very special, joyous place in the Gani. And that is my special, unique place of Hashem, is the Mokim Shahoya Ikri Betchilo. That is a place that I was mainly in the beginning. So, Bosi Legani, I'm coming to my place where I was mainly. What does this mean? This is referring to this world. The Iker Shechina B'tachtoinim Hoyso. In the beginning, in the creation, the Shechina was B'tachtoinim. What does it mean that the Eibishter is coming back? That the Eibishter was here? Because the Iker Shechina B'tachtoinim, but then it left. And now, this pasuk is talking about Hashem coming back to his place where he was in the beginning. What happened is Elo Shal Yidei Inyanim Bilti Ritzuyim, through matters which are not desirable, meaning things that happened when the Shechina was b'tachtoinim, the Iker Shechina b'tachtoinim, things that happened that were not desirable, is Nistalka Shechina. The Shechina moved away, milmata l'maylo, from below to above, ad l'rekia shavi, until it went the farthest part. That we have the seventh sky, the seventh firmament, v'achar kach, and then later on, Amdu Shiva Tzadikim, their seven righteous stood up, v'hiridu es hashechina milmayla lamata. The seven tzaddikim, they brought down the Shekhinah from above to below. So it was always on the seventh Rakia, and they brought it down from the seventh Rakia down to the world, to the earth. So they brought it down from the top to the bottom. Achebo Moshe Shu Ashvi, until Moshe, who is the seventh, and the Chol Hashvin Chavivin, and the seventh are dear. And he brought it down. Moshe Rabbeinu brought it down the Oretz in order to bring it down to the Oretz from the Shamayim. Uh, that's a bigger move that is done by Moshe because he had the special Shavin Chavivin. He had the deer. He was specially dear, so he could bring it down the Matabaris. The Inyan Zeh, this idea, Hamshochas Viris Ashchina Lamatabaris, that to draw down, and to bring the Shechina down below to the earth, Nase Be'iker Alidei Mishkan She'oso Moshe. Mainly, that was accomplished through the Mishkan that Moshe Rabbeinu made. As the Pasuk says that the Mishkan brings down the Shechina, Moshe Kosuf, as the Pasuk says, V'osu li migdosh v'shachanti b'seicham. They will make for me a sanctuary, a migdosh, so I will dwell with amongst them. So the Mishkan that Moshe Rabbeinu built was the vehicle to get the Shekhinah, the Basi Legani, to come back, the Shekhinah, to bring it down into the world, is through the Mishkan that Moshe Rabbeinu, he brought it down in the earth, mainly through the Mishkan. V'zehu tzadikim yirshu oretz, and this is also the idea that the Pasuk says, tzadikim yirshu oretz v'yishkenu la'ad aleho, so that the righteous will inherit the land, and he teaches here to inherit the land, because v'yishkenu la'ad aleho, they make the la'ad, the one forever, the one who rests forever, aleho, they make him rest on the earth, and that's why they will yirshu oretz. So, although we talked about before Moshe Rabbeinu specifically through the Mishkan, but that's in a general way. But as the Rebbe spoken in earlier Maimorim, that all tzaddikim, and tzaddikim is not only what we think, the few, but amech kulam tzaddikim. That tzaddikim yirshu the zesh tzaddikim. And the teaching the posuk, the zesh tzaddikim. This that tzaddikim, and who are we're talking about tzaddikim? V'amech kulam tzaddikim, quoting from the what we say before the Pirkei Avos, v'amech kulam tzaddikim lo'edum yirshu oretz, that all of your people are tzaddikim. So because tzaddikim yirshu oretz, zev tzaddikim yirshu oretz shu Gan Eden. The fact, why will the tzaddikim inhabit the land, which is Gan Eden, umipnei shehem mashkinim, because they make rest. What means they make rest? Mamshichim, they draw down. The bechinas shoichen ad, the level of la'ad, which is the one who rests forever, morim v'kodesh, the one who's exalted and holy, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yishkenu la'ad, they bring down the ad, the shoichen ad, the one who rests for Allah on the earth, sheyiyah begilui lamata, so that it should be openly lamata, that the Eibishter should come down begilui into the world. Yishkenu, he should rest, he should draw down and rest at the shoichen ad, that it should be lamata. That's why they inherit Gan Eden. So the Rebbe adds, and the Rebbe explains that here we're saying that they will yishkenu la'ad aleho, that they draw down aleho. So we say that the yirshu oretz, because they bring down la'ad aleho. So which is the oretz that they are inheriting? It has to be, when we talk about Gan Eden, but it has to be Gan Eden, the Rebbe explains, which is in this world. Gan Eden, you have on a spiritual level, you have Gan Eden Ha'elyon, but then you have the physical Gan Eden, like we know that Adam Arishan was in Gan Eden, where he wasn't in a spiritual Gan Eden. Gan Eden, he was created, a human being. Adam Arishan was created as a human being, and he was in the Gan Eden, in this world. So when we say in this pasuk that tzaddikim yirshu oretz, they will inherit the land, Gan Eden. So the Rebbe explains that this oretz means Gan Eden hatacht and hagashmi, the physical. Because since the pasuk says they get it, because yishkenu la'ad oleho, they bring down the shoichen ad on it. And what does it mean? What do they bring down? In the oretz hagashmi. So that's why the oretz, even though we're talking about Gan Eden, but it's a Gan Eden begashmi. V'yesh shloima. That's what Rebbe says now. The alpi ma'aseh kosuv v'hamaimer, that based on what the Maimer says, Shapirush v'yishkenu la'ad oleho, that what is the meaning? And they rest the ad, they rest the shoichen ad oleho on it, on that oretz that we talked about before. So he said, "Hu shetzadikim, shatzadikim, mamshichim bechinas ad." They draw down the levels of ad, which is the level shoichen ad morim v'kodesh. Shetiya begilu lamata, that it should be revealed lamata. What does it mean lamata? Meaning here in our world below. So behechrech loymar, this forces us to say she'eretz shebepasuk zeh, that when it says yirshu oretz, hu eretz kipshutei, that means literally this land. Talking about a spiritual land. So how do we sharei oleh koyal eretz sharei oleho koyi al eretz dekan? Because we say yishkul la'ad oleho on it. So which land is it? The land that we're saying Oretz, Yishnu Oretz, that land, they on that Oretz, Yishnu La'adaleho. So we're saying that it's an Oretz that means physically in our world. Why does the Maimer said the Yirshu Oretz is Gan Eden? But we're saying the pshat in the pasuk means that they bring it down, shechanad, on the earth, so they will get the earth, the oretz. So why are we saying Gan Eden? Umashe kosuv behamaymer shetzadikim yirshu oretz Gan Eden, that they will inherit the land of Gan Eden. Hakavona bazeh. The intent here is loy la'olam haneshames k'moy shehem b'loy gufim. We're not talking here about the world of the souls as they are without bodies. We're not talking a spiritual Gan Eden. We're not talking about being in Gan Eden. They will inherit Gan Eden. But we're talking about Elul Gan Eden K'moy shehu be'eretz hagashmi. We're talking about the Gan Eden as it is in this physical world. Shehoya ba'adam arisha beguf hagashmi, in which Adam Arisha was with his physical body. Before of the sin, he was in this world, and that's where the tzaddikim will be. Then, when Adam Arishan was in Gan Eden, that was the beginning, when the Shechina was b'tachtonim. And over there, in that same place where the Shechina b'tachtonim was in the physical Gan Eden, that's we were mamshich, the Shechina, and that's the land, that's the Oretz that the tzaddikim gain, inherit because of bringing down the Gilu Shechina in the Oretz. Base. Umamshich b'hamaimer. So the Maimer continues, how is this avoida of the tzaddikim bringing down the Gilui and the Shechina in the world? How is this done? is through pushing yourself and turning yourself around. That we have struggles, and despite the difficulties, we push iskafia and this hapcha. That brings about quotes from the Zohar, the main shechina lemato. Mamshich ba maimer continues that maimer שהavoida שעל יודו נעשס המשוחס עיקר שכינה למטה. What is the work through which the main shechina accomplished that the main shechina came down למטה? לאחרי שנסתלקו על ידי הזי העניונים הבלתי רצויים, after it moved away through the 7 matters that were not desirable. Those are the 7 main avedas that he counts over there in the Medrash that was done in the 7 generations to the sin of Adam and Cain, etc. So how do we bring it down back? Lamato. He avoida the skafia v'ishapcha. That's the avoida of pushing yourself and turning around. Kemaimer, like in the Zohar, it says, "Kad iskafia sitra achra." It's brought down because the Torah in the notes here, but it says the kad iskafia sitra achra, that when sitra achra, the other side, the negative side, the side that pushes to do negativity, when you subdue it, you skafia, you push it down, you istalik yikore the kucha bricha b'kula omim. So the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that precious, comes in all worlds, which means, what is the level of kulo almim? Which means you bring down hamshochas v'gilui atzmus oirin sof shalamayla meshayichus loilamis. You draw down and you reveal the essence of the Ein Sof, which is higher than having connection to the worlds. The iskafia, to bring down the ikar shechina, which is the level of the Ein Sof, which is higher than the world. There is a level of Ein Sof which is measured, which is the memale kol almim, that fills the world. That's an oir which is measured and limited according to the kalim, according to the recipients, according to their ability to receive. But here we get an oir which is kula almim, that is higher, it's above, it's all worlds, which also explains the way we talk about it's an oir. We say istalik. Usually the word istalik means to remove, but here it means you bring down a removed oir, an oir which is in a way of istalkus. You bring down, because that oir is not a filling, or it's not a memalik kolam, it's not a pnimius, it's a makiv, it's an oir haseviv. So you bring shalochein, the Rebbe adds in the brackets, nikra samshoch zu b'shem istalik. That's why this hamshoch is called istalik, lipi shehu gilui ha'oir shebebechinas reimemis. It is revealing a light which is in the level of exaltness. It's removed. You're bringing down such a light which is an istalik or a reimemis, which is higher than the world. Shehu bekulo almin b'shovet. That means bekulo almin, meaning a light which is equal in all worlds, because it doesn't have the boundaries, the limitations of the different worlds, but it shines everywhere equally. As he explains, the ba'olamos yesh ribui madreges ad ein kates. Really, there is a tremendous amount of levels, endless amount of levels, multiple, so many levels. There's no end. There's different worlds. Each of these worlds, that's the memalekul almim. Now, why are we saying over here an endless amounts of levels? Some places we talk about there's two levels. There's the revealed world and the hidden world, but that's in a very general way. This that it's explained in many places that there are two worlds. As based on the pasuk, it says, "Min ha'olam ve'ad ha'olam." We're saying Baruch Hashem min ha'olam ve'ad ha'olam, from one world to be mamshich into the olam. So we talk about two worlds. We talk olam iskasya and to the olam alma disgalia. Why are we saying here that there's many endless amounts of world? Because those are just the general. There's a general hidden world, and there is a revealed world. Within the hidden world, there's an endless amount, and within the revealed world, sheheim alma disgalia. These two worlds that we explain in many places are both the world that is covered, is hidden, but alma disgalia, and the world that is revealed. Who bechlolos? That's in a general. There's hidden and revealed worlds. Avol biprotius, but when we go down to details, we start with four, and the four goes further. Hey mischalkin ledalid olamais abia. They divide the worlds, get further broken up by four worlds: Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. And the Rebbe says that this is actually in the Maimer we can explain. In the Maimer also, it seems like first he talks about two levels, and then he talks about four levels in the Maimer, because of the same idea that the worlds in general way they divide into two categories, but then they go further. V'yesh loymar, the Rebbe says in the bracket, the zehu Mashamevi Baham Maimer B'tchilas Ha'inyan, that in the Maimer, in the beginning of the subject, he brings down the Maimer HaMedrash. He brings down the saying of the Medrash. In the Medrash, he talks about two levels. It says, Noto Yiminoi. He tilted his right hand. Ubara Shamayim, he created the heavens. Noto Smoiloi, he tilted his left hand. Ubara Others, so to speak. And then he created the earth. So he talks about two levels. That's the way he starts off the Maimer, the Friedrich Rebbe in the Maimer. And afterwards he goes on, he says the difference in the four worlds. So why does he start with two and goes to four? Because like the Rebbe said over here, the Klolus, Kol is generally all of the worlds, Nechlokas Lishtei, Dargas, Klolius. They are divided, split it up to two general dargas. You have Oilamois Elyonim Shamayim. You have the upper worlds. When it says not to Yemina Bora Shamayim, those are the upper worlds of Shamayim. The Oilamois Tachtoinim Oretz, and the lower worlds, which is Oretz. This is similar Derech Almadis Kasyev Almadis Galia. That would be divided like the hidden world and the revealed world. Avo beprotius, but when you talk about in detail specifics, Hegdalad Eilumes, over there we talk about four worlds. Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, four worlds. So generally there's two and then there's four. That's still, and they go further details. Ubeprotius Yoser. And when you go more details, more specific, is Leribo Eilumes and Koitz. That's multiple worlds to no end. וזהו החידוש והעילוי דאויר זה שהוא בכול העלמין בשווים. And this is the novelty of this light. We say that through Iskafia, Istali Yekurat Brichu Bekul, the advantage, the novel, and the elevation, the greatness of this light, Shehu Bekul Ha'almim, that it's in all worlds. So this means that Gam Sheyesh Ribu is Chalkus Be'olemis. although there is many multitude of differences in the world, Meresh Kol Dargin, Adsev Kol Dargin, from the top of all steps to the end of all steps, so many various different levels. But this light, Mikol Mokoim, this light, Hubekula Almin Bishover, he is light in all worlds equally. Why is he all worlds equally? Because he's above than being connected to the world. It's a light which is higher than connection. In the world, there is differences, but there's a light which has no differences because in this level of oir, there are no differences of levels. And this great light, which has no differences, how do you bring down this light? Is through the avodah of subduing and turning around. So the Rebbe explains that's the level of Kula Almin, that is a level of a oir which is higher than Shaykhis La'ilmas that we bring down through his kafi v'ishapcha. Gimel. So what's the reason? Shal yidei ha'avodah di iskafi v'ishapcha nimshach oir zeh shelamayla b'shaykhis la'ilmas. What's the reason? Why is the avodah of subduing and turning around draws down such a light that is higher than ilmas? Maimer, he explains it, the Maimer, ki yisrein ha'oir hu min ha'choshech davke. Because the advantage of light comes from darkness. Specifically, when you take darkness and you turn it to light, then you get a greater light. So when you have iskafia and ishapcha, you get the greater light. You get the light which is higher than the world. The kasher hachoshech nepach la'oir. When darkness is turned to light, nasa yisrein ba'oir, that becomes an advantage in the light. So basically, since the Rebbe says now, the Rebbe explains now, the Rebbe is going to add this idea. Since now we get Iker Shchina B'tachtoinim Hoysod that came B'Lamailo, we bring down the Iker Shchina through Avodah Viskafia because we, through darkness, so our level is like a greater level, we get a greater light. Based on this, we can say, when we bring down the main Shechina now, after it has been removed through the 7 matters that are not desirable, starting the Chet Hadas, that everything was removed, that it was removed through these Avedas, and now we bring it down. Al Yidei HaAvodah Diskafi Ishapcha, through our avodah of subduing and turning around. Hinailis Yoiser, that is on a higher level. Mamshochas Iker Shchina B'tachtoinim, then that and the main Shchina came down B'tachtoinim. Al Yidei Avodah Odom Arishen, through the avodah of Odom Arishen, we Iker Shchina B'tachtoinim, Began Eden Koydem Achet, in the Gan Eden before the sin. The Iker Shechina we bring down now, since it comes after the Bilti Ritzuyim, it comes we get a higher light than the Avodah of Marisha. Ki Avodah oz hoysod lahamshich elakus malmayla. Then by Odom Marisha, the Avodah was to bring down godliness from above. Masha Enkin Achshav, as opposed to now. Now the avodah is to turn darkness to light. Hine hamshocha shal yidei avodah zu hamshocha nailis yoser. This hamshocha is a greater hamshocha. So that's what the Rebbe explains over here, that our hamshocha of the Iker Shechina, since it comes after the sin, which is over there, the avodah was to bring down godliness. How now where avodah is to make the darkness into light? So the hamshocha that we bring down is even greater. V'zehu, and this is why Mishkan hoya ma'atzei shitim. The Mishkan was built from wood, shitim wood. Shitim is meloshin shtus. This means a lashon of foolishness. Because what it means is we built a Mishkan from the foolishness by subduing the foolishness and turning it around and building a Mishkan out of it. Ki ha'avoida deva'osu li migdashi, because the avoida of make for me a sanctuary is lahapei hashtus de l'umazeh l'shtus de kedusha, is to turn around the foolishness of the other side and make it into a shtus de kedusha. And that's the Mishkan. You built a Mishkan from Atzei Shittim, from Shtus, from the other side. And that's the way it becomes, I dwell amongst you, which is Hamshochas Iker Shechina Betachtoinim. We draw down the main Shechina in the low. This is higher than it was before the sin, because then it was just to be Mamshech Kedusha. Here the Mishkan is turning around L'umazeh into the Shtus of Kedusha. This power has been given to every Yid. Talked about the Mishkan, we Atzei Shittim, we talked about Tzaddikim, but really every Yid has the power, each and every one of the Yid. Shal Yidei, Shaloichem imashtus de l'umazeh, when you wage war with the foolishness of the other side, umahapchil ishtus de kedusha, and you turn it around and you make it in the shtus of kedusha, nasisa hamshochas iker shchina betachtoinim, that accomplishes that you bring down the main shechina in tachtoinim. Ad, until the, not just bringing down, the darga achi nailis di shechina, to the highest level of the main shechina. Ba'ad lamshochas ha'atzmus, till you bring down ma'atzmus. Ba'al yidei zeh davke. That's the way specifically. We need atzmus, that's the dira. The dira is the atzmus, is only through this battle and only through being mahapicht from shtus to kedusha, is fulfilled the intent. The Eibishter wants a dira over here below. That this physical low world, there is nothing lower than it. All the way, this is as low as it goes. So this physical world becomes a dwelling place for him, for the atzmus, because this is what you brought down into this world. Okay, we'll leave it over here. We'll be.
Yep.